Welcome back to Dork Points, everybody. This is Ron, and it's FPS Madness time again. Yes, we have some retro shooters, some boomer shooters, modern shooters, and a couple of weirdo picks for you to enjoy. First up, the retro games. Doom 64. This game went on sale for $2.99. But it was at a time when I was kind of flush with first-person shooter games, so I mentioned it in the last video, but I just finished it recently, and it was great. This is the only Doom I have not played other than Final Doom, and is Final Doom technically the third Doom? I'm not sure, because Doom 3, the one that's called Doom 3, really isn't Doom 3, it's like Doom 6. But anyways, I'm just a little sad now, because it's so damn good, but after this little line of classic retro video games, in this video that I'm going to show you, I don't have many more real old-school shooters I haven't played other than Quake 2 and maybe the Turok trilogy, so if you can think of any others, let me know, and of course, if something gets remastered, yay, let me know. Alright, and now cue Doom. Now, going back to my PS4 version of Quake, I found a bunch of DLC and user-created maps in the I don't know if it's the extras section, but you'll find it in the main menu. But there's a bunch of stuff in there, including this, a full recreation of Doom 1. Perfect in every detail, running off the Quake engine, looking better than ever, and playing wonderful. It's just a big, warm hug of nostalgia. It's great. And all these screams. I love that. They kept those great screams. But also, the weapons from Quake are in the game, which is it kind of takes you out of the game, but in the most minor of ways. Anyway, alright, Red Faction. Now, getting this game to a modern kind of playable state on the PS4 requires a lot of work. The gun menu is brought up by pressing circle, then selected with L1. Firing is also tethered to L1. The X and Y directional axis is inverted like an old flying game at first. And in order to change these settings, you have to access the options menu by swiping left on the touchpad. Yeah, not the pause button, because that would make too much sense. The touchpad, okay? Now, It's a great classic FPS, but all that aside, it still honestly takes a long time to get used to the game in general. There's this terrible stealthing mission in the third area, the office area, which doesn't help. But the game rewards those who persist with a, for the time, extremely long and varied set of levels and gameplay, including multiple ways to reach your goal, and wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
They've kept a regiment of mercenaries in reserve.
Yay! The first destructible environment in a first-person shooter. I played this game originally on the PS2 alongside a PS2 version of Half-Life, actually. Now, between the two, I would say Half-Life has aged better than this. I guess you could call this a crusty classic. Still good, but a little crusty. Other advice. Keep the auto-aim on. The game's long and hard. Just keep the auto-aim on. And once you get this gun, the precision rifle, just keep an eye on the ammo and just use that for the rest of the game, because it's deadly and wonderful, and you can basically cheese the game if you use that for most of it. So there we go, Red Faction. And now it's the last retro shooter of the night, and like I said before, this is kind of a sad moment for me, because there's really not many more old first-person shooters I haven't played, so this was bittersweet for me. You know, I saw this always for $19.99, and then it finally went on sale for $6.99, and I started playing it, and it was almost kind of depressing, because it was it was really good, but I knew this is, you know, there's not many more.
However, we must go on. The center of activity of time strikers has been spotted in Egypt. We must inspect the area.
Sorry, I had to be quiet for that, because it sounds like a teenager reading that. Oh, screen shake. This game's real jittery and shaky, and I don't know if my controllers are old So it may have something to do with controller drift or something like that. But none of the modern games do that for me. But this did real bad. Like anytime I stood still, it just shook and jittered all over the place. And Q Doom did it a little too, so I'm suspecting maybe it's my controller. But the game is a little shaky and stuttery at moments, and sometimes turning your gun isn't the most pleasurable thing. But oh my god, look at this thing. Just the level design, the thought that went into this. I mean, this looks great for a shooter from its time. Just this little area alone is worth picking up this game, but I mean, all of it. Look at this area, too. All of it's really good. The level design is top-notch. This game is pretty great. If you haven't played it yet, pick it up. Alright, moving on to Gunscape. Create, share, and play. Now, I picked this up for, say it with me, $2.99! Yes, and I should have known there was something wrong for $2.99 with this one. Because it's create, share, and play, Gunscape. So you can create, share, and play your own games. Now, of course, there is a main campaign. It's only 6 levels long, but the levels are fairly lengthy and fairly fun to play. But beyond that, and whatever user-created content is already up, and I don't even know if it's actually user-created content or if the devs just made it kind of like extra DLC to cushion the blow, but yeah, here's the problem with it. Create, share, and play. So you are supposed to be able to create your own first-person shooter, and every time you try to, it says error loading content. So the servers aren't there. They're not online anymore, or were they ever? I'm not sure. But yeah, you cannot create your own game. So that is kind of a damper on it. Also, the shooting is not great. There are a couple of weapons that are real fun to play with, but as far as like, you know, a shooter of shooters where you're going to create and play shooters, you want the weapons to feel good. And look at that. Yeah, there was a Turok level there. There's also a Wolfenstein level, as you can see here. All this stuff is in the user-made content. Supposedly people made these, but I have a suspicion, like I said, that the devs created this stuff. But yeah, you know, the fact that you can't make your own game and the fact that the shooting doesn't feel 100% great is a real drawback. But again, there is a lot of extra content here, like Wolfenstein and Turok and this Wizard of Oz game, which is really long. It's like 10 levels long. But the problem with the user-created stuff is once you leave the game, you have to start it all over again. They're fairly easy to play, but I mean, if you don't want to play 10 levels of something that's been user-created, you have to start all over, which is lame. I don't know why they did that. But look at this thing. It's beautiful. And yeah, if you can find it on sale, it's still worth it. Gunscape. Alright, now moving on to the boomer shooters. Forgive me, Father. And wow, look at this thing. Look at it. It's beautiful. And this is my first time ever doing this, but a big shout out to Anton Oakshield, who recommended this to me in the comments for my first-person shooter Madness video. So thank you, Anton Oakshield, for turning me on to this game. It is really good. And now I'm going to say it, the Lovecraftian. Yes, this game is Lovecraftian. It's a big wet kiss for Lovecraft, and it's also great and really fun to play. But the story, I guess, should be better. It's, you know, the levels kind of tell the story as well, so that really helps. All the environments really bring this up to the next level. But I would say, like, the final turn of the story is a bit meh. It doesn't sit up on that high pedestal with BioShock or some of them, but I will always remember this game and love it. And look at this. We're at the club. Alright, moving on to Proteus. Proteus is another one, oh my god, just a big love letter to old school games, especially Doom. And I love the idea. One critic commented on this game and said it was very wet. That was his comment. Sploosh. Yes, and you see why. This game is very wet. But yeah, it just looks good, plays good. It's pretty brainless for the most part, but it doesn't matter. This kind of game doesn't need a story. There are some little things you can read that give you an understanding of the world itself, but I mean, who cares? Just shoot things and make them splatter. Yeah, Proteus, play it. It's great. All right, now moving on to modern games. This is there's a lot of sections in this video. These are the modern games, though. First being Metal Hellslinger. And I've mentioned this in another video, but, you know, I want to like it. It looks great. It plays fairly well, but it's a beat shooting game. Shooting on the beat, or beat matching. And I never thought I would like these, so I never picked any of these style of games up, including beats per minute, which looks really cool, but I just don't think I can do it. Also, the music is fairly obtuse. I hate to say that word, but there's not loud rhythmic beats to really match to. It's a lot of like weird metal that's kind of drawn out. I don't know how to describe it, but I spent so long on this last wave, and again, yes, it's a wave shooter as well. They lock you in a room and waves come, and I just couldn't beat the final wave of this level over and over again, and I just gave up. Now, Necromunda Hired Gun. Yay, I finally got to play it. Yay, and it's alright. It's alright. Warhammer, though. It's the Warhammer 40k universe, and, you know, I bashed Deathwing, Space Hulk Deathwing, pretty hard, but still simple and kind of fun to play and old school. However, there is a problem with this game in particular. So in the mission selection part, there's the main mission and then there's mini missions. And you can do either, but then you have to select your loadout. Now, in order, if you go down below, you can see I'm selecting the health kit and then stims. Now, health kits give you health, obviously, and stims give you life. They're basically an extra life. But you can only take 3 with you into the level. You can purchase more at checkpoints, but there's only a couple checkpoints. And then if you fail the level and come back out of the game, there's a hub world, by the way. But if you fail the level and you have no more money, you will go back to the hub world, and then the next time you go into a level or a side mission, you will have no money to buy extra lives or health kits. And then you basically die. It's this weird, vicious downward spiral that happened to me about 3 or 4 levels into the game. I've gotten past it now. Levels 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 are really great, and they give you a lot of prize money for playing those missions. So now I have enough money where I can go play a side mission, and if I die, I still have enough money to buy health packs and extra lives for the next main mission. But that's my main gripe about it. There you go. Alright, and our final modern game of the night. And yes, I know, this is an online co-op game. Does it really count as a first-person shooter? Well, kind of, because I always play it alone. Yes, it's Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's sad. That was sad. I play it alone. Yes! Anyway, sadness, playing it alone. The hub world is great. This game looks great. I love my big head. Kind of looks like me, doesn't he? Except thinner. Anyway, let's get to the big problem. It's the menu system, and picking and comparing weapons is such a pain in the ass in this game, and once you do it, you will understand. It is downright unpleasant. And then, you know, I tried to play this local co-op with my daughter, and the menus for the split screen are cut down and even worse and give you even less information. And so she just became totally frustrated and gave up the game because she couldn't see like the stats of her weapons and got tired of, after every level, sitting there for 10 minutes and having to actually like open the menu up and look at the actual weapon stats to figure out what she wanted to keep and what she wanted to sell. And I totally understand. That's the gripe. But other than that, it's great fun. You know what it is, Borderlands, Tiny Tina's. Alright, and now the weirdos of the night. Morfight being the first one. Yes, it is kind of a boomer shooter. It looks old school, as well as the other game we're going to mention. But, yeah, it's Morfight, and you're fighting a cyber shark, a laser shark. It says cryo shark, but it's a cyber laser shark. Isn't that cool? Yeah! This weapon sucks, by the way. Talking about weapons that don't feel good in games, but you get better ones later. Oh, this soundtrack is bumping. Yeah. So, what is it? I bought it, I saw the screenshots, it looked like a cheap first-person shooter, I think it was. I'm sorry, but say it with me again. $2.99! That's right. And, okay, so what it actually is a dollar store No Man's Sky. Or an offline No Man's Sky. Now, there is a main mission with a story and levels. And, oh, by the way, all these, on this main mission, all these, God, these jumping areas, what do you call them? Platforming areas. They're just awful. I get what you're doing. You're trying to mix everything into the game, but God, these suck, and it's totally frustrating, and you will see the screen a million times, unfortunately. But other than that, once you get the better weapons like this one, the shooting feels a little better, and it plays pretty good. And like I said, other than the main mission planets, the rest of the world is like procedurally generated, and there's just a bunch of weird stuff you can go and explore, and there's a lot of stuff to see, a lot of planets. I don't know if they're procedurally generated every time, but you get the impression they were made procedurally at the beginning. I don't know if you understand what I mean. But anyways, Morfight, yeah, I give it a B. There you go. Alright, it's a weird game. You might like it. Moving on to, okay, Shadow of Loot Box. That's what you're going to call it? Shadow of Loot Box. So yeah, also looking like a boomer shooter. Very retro. But playing very different. Every level is different from the other. It's like a love letter to 20 different video games. That first level you saw being, of course, Portal, and then here you see sort of an open world fetch quest mission. Question, why does this guy look like Bert from Bert and Ernie? Tell me, why did they pick this as a design choice? And, okay, look at this guy. Now, this is what's cool about this game, though. This is a level. All the levels are different styles of video games or something. This level is a broken video game. So everything is, like, floating around and glitchy. You can walk through walls and do all sorts of weird stuff. There's a bull on top of a tree. Just wonderful ideas mixed in here to what is otherwise, I wouldn't say it's a mediocre game. It's kind of great in its own way. Like, look, here's a horror shooter level. So it's fantastic in a certain way, but again, this main weapon that I'm holding right now sucks, and it doesn't feel good to shoot. And I don't understand that. I guess, they're cheaper games. You gotta take what you can get. I think this one was like 79 cents on sale. And, but yeah, Shadow of Loot Box. It's pretty good for how much it's priced. I say play it, actually. But yeah, there you go. That's all the games for my first person Madness Spectacular. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good night. Bye-bye.